Hello, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be giving a preview of AP Bio as a former AP Bio student. I am actually currently awaiting my results, but I think I was able to achieve some success in the classroom, and I think I understand some of the things that worked for me, some of the things that didn't work for me, and I'm just going to present the course and just explain some of the things you can do to achieve success. So let's get right into it. So first off, I'm just going to say AP classes are different from your typical CP or honors courses because they don't just rely on memorization only. I've noticed in honors classes, if you just understand the topic, if you can do a question or two on a specific topic, then the tests often reflect the exact same practices and it's often just memorization. AP courses, like AP Bio as well, you need to apply ideas. Memorization is not very helpful, and actually if you just rely on memorization, I don't think you're not going to get an A, probably not a B either, maybe not even a C. Like I know some people who didn't even get a C just from relying on memorization. Doing practice questions is going to be your best bet. And for me, the course was very lecture-based, so it's important to know how to take proper notes. We're going to get into that. And homework, you get occasional homework, not like very frequently. Mostly it's just independent studying. So it's important to, of course, do the homework, but also rely on practice questions and other resources that your teacher may present. So really, tests actually ask you to apply ideas. So, for example, in an honors course, you might be asked, what are the inputs and outputs of photosynthesis? In AP, it might be like, okay, what happens if photosystem 1 is blocked? What's going to happen? Are we going to produce enough ATP? Or how is that gonna interfere with the entire process? So AP asks you, it's like more of a cause and effect type thinking, and you need to understand, okay, if this happens, how does that influence that? And how does that influence another thing? So it's just a cycle. And just expect to study. You're gonna need to study. It's not a huge time commitment, of course, but if you're organized and you separate time for the course, then not a huge time commitment. You'll definitely have time for your other activities. A lot of people are scared that, these APs, I won't be able to do this, I won't be able to do that. But if you're organized, then and you have good time management strategies, then it's really not too bad. And as I was mentioning, the lectures, so during the lectures, it's very important to have good note-taking strategies. Always it's so important. Just ask the teacher questions, understand, then write down. Don't just write down exactly what the teacher's saying, and draw diagrams. Like personally, I'm a visual learner, so seeing diagrams just really helps. And like draw the Calvin cycle, draw the steps of photosynthesis. That always helps. And just put a star next to anything that your teacher mentions that you find confusing. So when you go home, you do your own independent studying for maybe 20-30 minutes. Then you can just review it, understand the concept, and then when the test approaches, then you don't need to understand the concept anymore. Then you're going to focus on questions, practice questions. And here we are for that. So don't just reread your textbook. Understanding concepts, that's during lectures, that's during your, like 20-30 minute block after school maybe. That's when you understand the concepts. Before the test, that's when you're doing your AP practice questions. And so when you're going to go into class, I hope your teacher introduces to AP Classroom. That's where all your practice questions are going to be, and this is going to be your best bet. And really just review the questions you got wrong, explain the processes out to yourself, and just also, if you have time, I mentioned this here too, just review the important experiments, because some questions often do come from the experiments. It's just good to have be familiar with that. And really, as I mentioned, time management, starting early, reviewing your notes, just doing a little bit every day. Really helpful. And weekends are, I know you don't want to do any work on the weekends, but you're going to have to do a little bit of work. Not too much if you're, setting aside 20-30 minutes per day. But yeah, spend a little time in the weekend, just review, understand the concepts, be prepared for your next lecture. But hopefully you shouldn't have to spend that much time unless you haven't reviewed a little bit during the week. But yeah, and labs, super important. Please don't leave them for last minute. You never know, a teacher may just be like, oh, we have a test the same day the labs do, so it's good to just get it over with and just focus on the test. And of course, you may have other APs, you may have, other outside extracurriculars. It's important to get these things over with. Now, if you work well throughout the year, a lot of people say, oh, you need 2 months to study, 2 months to study for the AP exam. I didn't study for that long. I studied for a solid 2 to 3 weeks for the AP exam because I try to stay consistent throughout the year. So just do well throughout the year, understand the units, understand the concepts, do your practice questions. So when the exam actually approaches, you're not panic studying at all. You're just calm and you're absolutely ready to crush it. So yeah, just start early, study, do your practice questions. It's not always easy, of course. We all have our bad days, but getting questions wrong, totally fine, because you have plenty of time to review, you have plenty of time to learn from those mistakes. But it's just important to know that if you study and if you put in the time and effort, then it'll be fine. But yeah, you got this, upcoming UP Bio students. Let's do this.